Welcome back to the Eileen the Mastiff channel, and today we're here with an update on training, how we're doing, what we've been doing, etc.
All of that fun stuff.
So basically, Will and Joe have been doing some work with Eileen. I think as well, you always say like you have one trainer and then you introduce other people to doing that same sort of stuff. But yeah, it turns out I'm really good at doing the manners stuff, less good at doing the obedience stuff.
And I think before we dive into kind of where me and Joe have stepped in to kind of level things up, that kind of does go to like your expectations of what your perfect canine companion are. And for Eileen, it is sit, stay with good manners, walk nicely to heel, come back when we ask you. And to be fair, you've done an incredible job of the sit and stay, and they've got tons of videos now of like with the food work, she'll sit and stay with a bowl of amazing raw food under her nose, and she won't budge until you let her. When she's coming out of the crate, when she's coming into the house, fresh hold manners. Again, the stuff that people take for granted, you've done an incredible job of.
It's not just me as well, like Dexter does those things with her, and she'll do it for Dexter too, which I think is really good.
And I'm a firm believer in it's those things that make a dog a joy to live with day to day, as opposed to doing the trick stuff. Again, you do have very valid reasons for why more of the formal obedience sessions haven't been done as much, but me and Joe couldn't resist.
Kids on lockdown.
Yes. But me and Joe, again, we'd been sitting on our hands, like, I want to do some sessions, but let Rachel do it.
I know, Joe's loving it as well.
Joe is very much becoming the puppy training expert at Fenrir. He's incredible at it. So, yeah, we've kind of been stepping in and kind of tuning up. You've set us an amazing foundation, and we've kind of come in and started working on levelling it up.
Yeah, so where I'd sort of finished at was we'd been working on like sit, stay, little bit of down, and then I have been doing it like I've done it in the garden with her a couple of times as well, so we're not just doing it inside. But what I hadn't been doing with her, and I think it's because of where we live and that we're lucky enough that we've got a garden and we've got like a paddock that they can run around on, is that I hadn't introduced her to a lead, which is where like, I don't want to say problems because it's not a problem, like it's a puppy, she's a puppy and it's the first time she's ever done it before, but that's now what we're having to work on, isn't it? Because I hadn't done it basically.
Yeah, so kind of all of her off-lead stuff, you'd done the foundations of heel work. Joe came in and did some amazing stuff with the foundations of heel. Then what I've kind of come in to do is starting to add that into a formal heel walking scenario on lead, out and about, and that's kind of it. To be honest, that's, if there was one part of training that I would say I absolutely specialise at, it's heel walking. So I was more than happy to kind of get stuck in and start working on that. Kind of taps into what we call like the stubbornness of certain breeds. So things where you have to be patient with Eileen, take your time, and have that balance between realistic expectations but being assertive and ensuring that she succeeds. Bless you.
Sorry.
You did a really good job of trying to hold that in. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on. It's been more kind of like the heel stuff and some recall stuff. And Joe's been doing some more kind of what would be more traditional obedience trick training. So he's been doing more stuff inside, more kind of formal obedience work, really nailing down her name training.
Yeah, that's really come on loads.
Yeah.
So he like basically will try and distract her and then say Eileen and get her to look at him. And when I watch it, I'm like, oh, that's really good. That's really good. And I see how that will then help with like recall and stuff with that association of her name as a command. And I've noticed since he's been doing that it's got easier for me when like they're out in the garden and I want them to come back in, and that kind of thing.
So good. Like I say, I don't want you to take this as kind of a negative thing. It was the first time you've ever done it, and again, it was one of those things that we always knew that you had me and Joe to fall back on should anything need tuning up, and that's all this is. Joe has finished his kind of training side of his apprenticeship with me now, and he's one of our certified trainers, so watching him kind of run with any kind of puppy training definitely is becoming his specialty. So I've been really proud to kind of watch him run with that.
Yeah, so the next stage of her training is really working on that heel work, isn't it? So we've like mentioned it a couple of times. Dexter's going back to school next week, and I'd really like to be able to walk Eileen to school. it's like it'd be a good distance for her, wouldn't it? Like that would be like her daily walk, or maybe like there.
And we'll touch on
back
it.
twice.
Like she absolutely could walk on the lead, but you would be using either a flexi lead or a harness, and it wouldn't be perfect heel. I always have the balance of wanting to exercise dogs, but not wanting to use a lead to ruin the heel work that we do. So this is one of those things that it's sometimes an element of do as I say, not as I do. And again, that comes from my experience and skill set. And like Rachel said, the environment we've got is that we can exercise her. She can go out and play. She can socialise. She can do all the toilet breaks and never need a lead. What that does for us from a success point of view is that she only ever has a lead on when we're doing heel work. So she gets that rock solid association that, oh, my lead's on, we're walking to heel. This is what this means. This is a question
that I get quite a lot on, not necessarily so much on this channel, but I also do run like the Instagram for Fenrir in general. And that's a question I get quite a lot, is that when people are working on their heel work, so whether they're doing it with their puppy or with an older dog who's going through like our boot camp course, is how do you then exercise them? How do you then walk them not to heel, if that makes sense?
And it's an excellent question, and it's one of them things where I always recommend.
I think perhaps we should make a separate video about this on the training channel, but if you just want to like briefly
give that is what I say. So for Eileen, as an example of that, it's about controlling the environment and setting that up for success and being proactive. So again, if you're working on walking to heel with your dog and it isn't perfect yet, where are the things in which it needs to be on a lead where it might not be time to walk perfectly to heel? Toilet breaks, well, make sure your garden's enclosed. That should be something that you're doing before you bring a puppy home anyway. Then things like taking them obviously for exercise is then the next biggest one. So what I always say for exercise is when you need to go and do a walk for exercise, that is the perfect opportunity to be working on your heel training and doing your 180 drills, and doing the kind of performance stuff. And what I try and do, especially in the boot camp, is I would say like 20-minute heel walk training, go somewhere where they can then run and exercise, and then 20 minutes
off
back.
Lead.
If it's a secure, safe environment. If it's not, it's at that point that I recommend paracord. Not necessarily long lines, because they're quite heavy and feel like a lead to the dog. Whereas if you get paracord, it is so light and you can do like 100 meters, but it's so strong that you could then attach that to, say, if you're working on heel with a slip lead, I would then paracord onto a harness, and that's now like 3 times. Now you've got the lead there to control the environment. Same if you haven't got a secure garden, similar thing, use paracord. The dog will forget it's even there, but you've got it for safety and backup. And then when it's heel time, when it's walking time, then it's onto your slip leads or whatever other tools you want to work on for your heel working and heel walking.
Yeah, or just a normal clip on.
Again, whatever tool is, but then try and like, what am I going to walk my dog to heel with? This tool or this setup. Right, when this is on, we are only ever walking to heel, and then find a way. And if it means, okay, for exercise, you have to put the dog in the car and drive somewhere and get where you can get them out of the car on the paracord, and you don't have to blur those lines. It's just about being proactive, planning ahead, setting them up for success rather than setting them up to fail. And that's what we're doing with Eileen. So it might seem like we're a little bit behind on heel walking, but what that will mean, because of how we're doing it, I reckon I'm a week away. With like Riley, we were there very quickly working Labrador. It was really easy. With Eileen, it's going to take a bit longer, but we will get her to a point at, say, 4 months old, and she'll just have perfect heel walking, and for the rest of her life will always walk perfectly.
And because of her breed, because she's an English Mastiff, that walk to school, heel walking, is the main bit of exercise that she requires. And
that'll be twice a day, drop off, pick up when she's fully grown, and then she's got the space here to romp around, play, and exercise.
We're not going to be like taking her to a massive field so she can.
That's what Sully comes out with when I go on when I'm hiking over in the Peak District with Joe. That's Sully and Riley. Those dogs are coming with us. Eileen staying here and looking after the house, and Rachel and the boys. Again, it's realistic expectations and setting them up for success. But being such a huge giant breed, Rachel will not be able to walk her if she doesn't walk perfectly. So that's where I was like, I will step in and ensure that's done. The way I do that is by associating when this slip lead goes on, there's no exceptions, you are walking to heel. It will take me a bit longer doing it this way, but it means that when Rachel puts that slip lead on, she has no worries. She can walk to school with 2 boys and a giant English Mastiff, maybe multiple English Mastiffs in the future. It'll be insane, it'll look sick, but that comes from putting in the work early on.
Yeah. And maybe as well, so obviously if you follow the Fenrir Canine Training channel, you'll see all of the like full, more tutorial type videos.
It's like live
there.
sessions of us doing it.
Yeah. So you can follow there. Obviously, we've got clips on this video as well. But if you follow on there, and then also what I was going to say is that perhaps in a few weeks' time, when we're a little bit further on with it, we can film with you and me. Perhaps get like Joe to film sort of you handing the reins over to me on that, and then how we go forward with it from there. So it's not that I'm like not training her anymore.
No, absolutely.
I
suppose we've got to the point now
we're
where
all just sort of swapping it out a little bit because it's chaos.
Yeah, and then next week it'll be all better and you'll get loads more time back.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
So, like I say, just kind of about our lives. If you don't live in the UK, we're in another national lockdown and all the schools are closed, and we have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. The 5-year-old should be at school and the 2-year-old should be doing a few days, at least a week in nursery, which would free Rachel up to work and be able to do. That was the plan. You'd have all that time to work with Eileen. That didn't happen when everything got shut down. So now you're trying to work, trying to homeschool Dexter, keep the 2-year-old occupied, and train an English Mastiff puppy.
And puppy.
Yeah, and our foster puppy that...
who sometimes is harder work than Eileen, just because she's got more energy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all fun and games, but we're making it work. She'll be perfect. Patience, consistency, and leadership.
She is perfect.
She is perfect. Yeah.
She's amazing.
That's the training update. So yeah, like I said, like Rachel said, if you want to see the live, I've waffled there. But if you want to like see me actually doing all of those things, the training channel's the place.
Can you see how many minutes we're on there?
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Flies by, doesn't it? Time flies when you're having fun. Or not, apparently. And on that note, we'll see you on the next video.